much for joining us. This is the news in Africa and the world. We open today's edition with what has been making headlines: the demise of Prime Minister Amadou Gon Coulibaly of Ivory Coast on Wednesday. Coulibaly had been picked to be the ruling party's candidate in the presidential election planned for October. The rhetoric question remains: what next of the party's candidate, as his death is likely to set off a scramble within the ruling RHDP party to replace him as its presidential candidate. There is no clear-cut replacement for him in an election widely considered as a test of stability for Ivory Coast. Projections are towards Defense Minister Ahmed Bakayoko, who had served as interim Prime Minister while Gon Coulibaly was in France for 2 months for medical care. 6 days after his return from France, he became unwell on Wednesday after taking part in the weekly cabinet meeting and was taken to the hospital where he died, President Alassane Ouattara said in a statement on state media. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, 3 separate movements are calling for demonstrations against the controversial choice of the new president of the Strategic Independent National Electoral Commission, CENI, due for July 9, 13, and 19. The leaders of the Lamuka are accusing the current executive secretary of the CENI, whose National Assembly confirmed the choice as future president of the body, of having contributed to all the electoral hold-ups since 2006. The leaders of the opposition called the strike on basis of strictly respecting the coronavirus barrier measures. This coalition had claimed victory for its candidate Matang Fayulu in the presidential election of December 2018, officially won by Felix Tshisekedi. The official appointment of the new president of the Independent National Electoral Commission must be validated by the head of state. In a Wednesday's report released by Human Rights Watch, mass graves containing at least 180 bodies have been discovered in Burkina Faso in recent months, and available evidence suggests the involvement of government security forces in mass extrajudicial executions. It said, calling on government to hold those responsible to account. According to testimonies, the majority of victims were men belonging to the Fulani ethnic groups, mainly recruited by the jihadist groups that have been bleeding Burkina Faso for the past 5 years. In response to the allegations, the government has committed to open an investigation, saying the killing may have been carried out by armed groups using army uniforms and logistics stolen during attacks. Over the past 3 years, Burkinabe law enforcement officials have been repeatedly accused of seriously abuses and extrajudicial killings of civilians in their fight against jihadist groups. From that, we now take you to Sudan. The country has begun to loosen its lockdown measures in and around the capital, Khartoum, after 3 months of tight restrictions due to the coronavirus pandemic. The usual hurry of pedestrians and car traffic returned to the capital street, with shops and restaurants reopening. Sudan's official news agency quoted government spokesperson Fazal Saleh as saying that nighttime curfew will remain in place as of Wednesday. Authorities in April halted government services and shuttered local markets and restaurants, severely restricting daily life in Khartoum and its twin city, Omdurman, to contain the spread of COVID-19. Officials in Nigeria say domestic flights are now available for the first time since restrictions aimed at preventing COVID-19 spread. Airports in the capital Abuja and the commercial hub Lagos have reopened, with others due to resume flights next week. The resumption of domestic flights to lift Africa's largest economy comes with some new protocols. This includes passengers getting their temperature checked maintaining social distancing and sanitizing of hands. The airport official is appealing to the public to follow the new measures and procedures, saying the government cares about their health security. The number of coronavirus cases in Nigeria has surpassed 30,000 with more than 680 deaths. Out of Africa, Germany's Chancellor spoke on a wide range of topics in her first trip to Brussels since the coronavirus pandemic caused lockdowns across the continent. But top of her agenda was the economic recovery package to help the bloc emerge from the coronavirus crisis, since she called on fellow EU member states to pull together in order to make a success of the 750 billion euros recovery package, calling for a holistic approach. Merkel further called for unity and solidarity in the EU as she addressed the European Parliament and sought to drum up support for the multi-billion euro recovery package to tackle the economic impact of the coronavirus. Besides the recovery crisis, Merkel said 5 issues are particularly important during the German EU presidency. These are people's fundamental rights, EU's cohesion, climate protection, digitization, and Europe's responsibility in the world. During its 6-month term at the EU's helm, Germany would chair meetings at all levels in the Council to ensure the continuity of work. The UK government has unveiled a 33 billion euro plan to save jobs. British Chancellor announced that the government is calling the second phase of measures to deal with the economic fallout of the pandemic. The plan will include the temporary reduction of value-added tax on many goods and services, a job placement scheme for young people, and new jobs retention bonus for employers. The Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, said their message to business is clear, calling on employers to stand by their workers so as to permit the government to stand by them. This, he said, while delivering his summer economic update in Parliament. In the United States, President Donald Trump ramped up his pressure campaign to get public schools to fully reopen amid the coronavirus pandemic. Trump cited advances in therapies for COVID-19 and asserted deaths from the virus are declining even as the numbers of confirmed cases have surged across the southern U.S. from Florida to California. In a tweet, Trump said Germany, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, and many other countries, schools reopened with no problems. The Democrats think it will be bad for them politically if U.S. schools open before November election, but it's important for the children and families. May cut off funding if not open. End of quote. The tweet was the latest in an administrative-wide effort to convince schools nationwide that the risks for not reopening outweigh those posed by the coronavirus. Worth noting is that the lion's share of school funding in America comes from states and municipalities and not from federal government. And we end today in Australia, where Australia's most second populous city, Melbourne, has begun a 6-week lockdown this Thursday, July 9, 2020, following a spike in new coronavirus cases. The outbreak prompted the state of Victoria to impose self-isolate orders for the city's estimated 5 million. The northern state of Queensland said it will ban non-residents arriving from Victoria. It will open its borders to people from other states and territories on Friday. Australia has avoided the high casualty numbers of other countries to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has killed 544,055 people globally. That's it. Thank you very much for your kind and keen attention. Until we meet again, do take care and stay safe.